Evening. Welcome to Kansas City Ballet's Dancer Chat. My name is Dana Knapp, and I am President and CEO of Arts KC here in Kansas City. I'm the moderator for this evening's Dancer Chat. Dancer Chats, a Kansas City Ballet community engagement and education series, is offered throughout the ballet season. These chats are designed for the broader public to have the opportunity to learn more about the lives, current creative work, and experiences of professional dancers at the Kansas City Ballet. These dancers, these brilliant women that you're going to get to know this evening, are performing in Kansas City Ballet's up-and-coming New Moves performance series, March 24th through the 27th. The New Moves performances will feature all female local and national choreographers, all in celebration of Women's History Month. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Sydney Haves. Welcome, Sydney. Whitney Huell, welcome, Whitney. And Taryn Mejia. Welcome, Taryn. So let's go ahead and dive in. I'm eager for everyone to learn more about you. So let's start off this evening. Maybe tell us all about a little bit about your story, kind of where your interest in dance began and what brought you to Kansas City. Whitney, you want to lead off for us this evening?
Sure. My interest in dance started when I saw my sister perform in a recital. I was 5 years old and my mom asked me if I wanted to dance too. And I said yes. And then I started lessons. And so, I took dance up until high school, and that's when I got serious about it. And then I went to college for dance as well as psychology. And then I joined Ballet West 2 in Salt Lake City, Utah, and got into the company there. And after several seasons, I auditioned and got into Kansas City Ballet.
Wonderful. Taryn, give us a little glimpse into your history as well.
I am born and raised in Kansas City. So I grew up here and started at a small school, worked my way up into Kansas City Ballet. And I feel like since day one in dance class, I wanted to be a ballerina. That was my goal. That was what I worked towards. Went all the way through the school here, and I went to New York and danced through that school, and then got into my dream company. I really wanted to be in New York City Ballet and dance all the Balanchine ballets. And I got into that company, and it's funny, once you kind of get to where you think you want to be, and then you're there and it's not really the best fit, or you're not as happy. And I've always been kind of a happy, like, look on the positive side of things type person, and that just wasn't me anymore. So I actually quit dancing and went to college, got my degree in child development psychology, and then after 6 years decided, I was debating careers. Do I go into like a psychology field, or do I try and dance again? And I kind of wanted to give it another shot. So I auditioned and got a job here back home in Kansas City. And I think now that it is like my second go around and I'm healthier and have a more balanced look to it, now it's just dancing for me.
Excellent. And that is the most important. So Sydney.
Hi. So I started dancing when I was like 3.5. My mom used to dance, and so she put me in it to see if I liked it, and it stuck for this long. And so, I started out really young. I really, really loved it in high school. I think something clicked, and I just knew I wanted to pursue it professionally. So after high school, I went to the University of Utah and got my BFA in ballet and a minor in human development and family studies. And from there, I met the previous second company director, Anthony Kreutzkamp. And there he, kind of guided me to Kansas City Ballet. He, helped me learn more about it, and I got really interested, and then I auditioned and I came as a trainee, and that's how I got here.
Excellent. Our journeys are really important. I'd like to know a little bit more about women or mentors or individuals that have inspired you along the way. A mentor or someone that really influenced the trajectory of your career. Taryn, do you have someone like that in your experience?
In my personal experience, not really. Ballet tends to be a pretty competitive just environment anyway. So it's hard coming into a company and finding that mentor sometimes because you're that new dancer coming in to possibly take their spot. So I know at least when I was in City Ballet and then as a younger dancer, I never really found anyone to kind of help guide me. I've had some really great friends along the way that we kind of support each other and try and keep each other a little bit more balanced out and be able to talk through some of those things. But I think mentoring in the ballet world didn't really happen for me.
How about you, Whitney? Have you had someone that has inspired you or mentored you along the way?
Well, I was lucky enough to have really nice role models in my first studio. My first ballet teacher, her name was Aurora Smith. She was like so beautiful and I like wanted to be like her. And I remember, I mean, she taught me when I was 5, so who knows, like if that would have happened, you know, if she had that faith in me or whatever, but she was so beautiful and she was such a pretty dancer. And there were some other dancers from that studio that did really well. Some of them became professionals. And so they were my inspirations. And I didn't, like Taryn said, I didn't really have an actual mentor growing up at all until recently. It's been like this season that I have a mentor now, Karen Brown. She's been really sweet and like helpful. And it's really nice. Like it would have been really nice to have that kind of mentorship earlier in my career, but I am grateful for it even now.
Excellent. Sydney, do you have someone that's influenced you or inspired you along the way?
I think I've had not one singular person, but I think I've had many different people throughout the different stages of this journey up until now. I mean, my teachers at my studio growing up were always very supportive. You know, that's where I got the foundation that I have in order to have been able to do this. So they were, you know, they're still very supportive and very helpful to this day. And then, you know, when I went to the University of Utah, a lot of my professors had a lot of faith and they wanted to help me as much as they could. One of them helped me film all my audition videos. A lot of them helped like me write all my resumes and all these things. So, like they just, you know, had a lot of faith and were supportive and had experience in the professional world and like really kind of guided me to it and helped me figure it out. So I wouldn't say one singular person, but I've had many.
Well, in the spirit of passing along the wisdom that you have gained, either through others or just from your own experience, what kind of advice would you give to a young woman that's aspiring to be in the ballet or to dance or participate in a career like yours? Whitney, what would your words of advice be?
Yes, I always like to say that you have to run your own race. You have to really focus on yourself and what you need to improve on. And really, you have to put yourself first, because when you start to compare yourself to others is where, you know, your love for dance could diminish. And so I would recommend just always think about having your own timeline, having your own path, and not worry about other people's path.
Oh my gosh, those are wise words for many of us. Erin, do you have any advice for those aspiring to dance?
the biggest thing that I've tried or that I've learned over the years is that we all know ballet is really hard. Like it can be hard, it can be emotionally draining. And so having a good set of friends in the studio, people who will be honest with you, but who will help you when you need to talk through things. It's nice to share parts with some of those friends because you help push each other a little bit. That support system is really, really important. But also, I was given some advice a couple years ago from Wendy Whalen, and she always told me that towards the end of the career, like you don't always remember the big roles or how the audience clapped for you. What you remember are your friendships and those moments of dancing with your friends on stage. So those moments where you make eye connections or you have fun and you can find moments of joy with your friends on stage, those relationships are what you remember more than like those big moments where you nailed a big pirouette on stage.
Wow, the relationships, the people, right? Sydney, what are your words of wisdom?
I think, and I mean, I continually have to tell myself this too, that we're all just very unique and have something different to bring to the table. And I don't necessarily think we have to look at it as competition, especially for women. It's so hard because there's so many of us and, you know, we get in our head about it, but like, you know, you have something beautiful to bring to this art form that is uniquely you, and keeping that in mind. And also my biggest thing, and again, not always the best at remembering this, but I think failure is necessary for success. I think it has a negative connotation to it, and it shouldn't. I think little setbacks or things that, you know, feel negative aren't always. They're always a learning experience, and they help you grow as a human, as an artist. And so I think keeping that in mind on your journey through dance and just life in general is really important. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Excellent. Wonderful. So I would love to hear at least one example of why you love your career. Why do you love dance? What is it inside you that really motivates you to do what you do every day? Karen?
I would say for me, walking away for a while, I found a newfound joy for dance. Just the idea that I get to go in and dance all day and that's what I get paid to do kind of still resonates a lot in class. I'll be in a moment where I'll just start thinking about it. And I'm like, this is really what I get paid to do. Like, and dance is so finite. So you've got to enjoy that time when you have it. And I feel like what I love about ballet is each day is different. Like we go in and we rehearse something different, or you're learning another ballet every couple of months and you have a new group of partners or you have a new group of friends to dance with. But I think what I love is that that is my time for me, like away from my family, where I can go express myself and put myself fully into something and feel really good about it at the end of the day.
Sydney, what is it about dance?
This might sound weird because I mean, ballet, it's very difficult. It can be very painful a lot of the time, truthfully, but something about it just feels, I guess, natural, or it feels good. And like, I want to go in every day and do those things. And I'm like a really big perfectionist. And I love that ballet is so technical and we can like work on those things. And I find it kind of fun to like, you know, get technically proficient at something. And I also think I love it so much because I am truthfully not the best at expressing myself always. And I think, especially with words. And so I think not having to really speak and being able to like share who I am through movement instead has always been kind of a freeing and very therapeutic thing for me. So I think that's what I love most about it, truthfully.
Wonderful. Whitney, what is it about your career that you love?
I think I just love the challenge of it all. Like with ballet, you can never be perfect. Like there's always something to work on. I mean, you can be really good at something one day and then the next day you're like, what happened? And I really like the ups and downs of class and technique. Class is my favorite part of the day. Just being at the bar, doing, these steps and trying to perfect them, and that has just always motivated me. I love class. I love trying things and just seeing where it goes. I also love performing and the feeling I get when I'm on stage. And I think those moments are what keep you going, because being on stage is very special. And it's just wonderful. Like Taryn said, like, it's so nice to be able to do this for a job. Like it used to be just going to ballet after school, but now we go to ballet for work, and I think that's still amazing after so many years. And so that's what I love about it.
Excellent. Well, each of you are looking forward, and you've already begun working on the New Moves performance series. And this particular performance is women choreographers. So talk to us a little bit about working with the choreographers, and how might this performance be a little different than others, because it is women working with women. Sydney?
Oh gosh. It's hard to put like a finger on it. I think having it be all women, we all have this kind of unspoken connection. And every single woman who's choreographing, and I wish I could work with everyone, and unfortunately we can't, but they all have something different to bring, and they all come from very different backgrounds, and they just have just different wisdoms to share with all of us. And everyone's process is different, and I love seeing these women in those positions of power, and really taking this on and sharing that strength with us. Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about New Moves, and especially this time, I don't know, I feel like there's just a different feeling having it be all girls.
That's exciting. Taryn, what's your impression of your upcoming performance and the relationship with the choreographer?
This time I'm in Emily Mistretta's piece, and she's a good friend of mine. And also I've been in her pieces, like she's done other pieces. So I've at least gotten to be in one of those. What's nice about my piece that I love is that not only is it a female choreographer in an all-female choreographer program, but she's strictly doing an all-female cast. And she's trying to get all of her music to be sung by all females. Really going for like the women are taking over kind of feel. And we're having a good time working together. It's like Sydney said, there's this unspoken bond. We all work together. I think we're all really excited to push this, because it's been the first time there's like an all-female program out there. And so not only do we just work hard on these programs anyway, but I think this time there's like an extra little motivation for all of us. But I do enjoy New Moves and how we very quickly put together these programs. We only have 2 weeks to learn all of these pieces this time. And so we very quickly put them together and work as a team to really put like the piece together in a fast time. And I think it helps unite us a little bit.
Excellent. How about you, Whitney? What are you looking forward to in the uniqueness of this particular performance?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful time having all females. I am in Marika's piece, and I'm also in Catlin's piece. And Catlin Addison, I actually know her. We're good friends. We danced together at Ballet West. And so it was really nice working with her back in November. So she came earlier. That's Catlin right there. She came earlier in November and we learned her piece in 2 weeks. And then this week we've had 2 rehearsals with Marika. So that was really nice seeing like a friend in their element. I had never been in one of her pieces before. She was choreographing, I believe, when I was still there, but it was more for the second company. So it was just really nice to see how she's grown as a choreographer, and like it was really nice learning from her, and just actually having a friend visit for 2 weeks was really nice as well. So yeah, it's been really special, and it's nice having women in the front of the room because often it's men. So it's nice. It's a nice change for sure, and one that, you know, I hope we continue to experience.
Well, kind of building on that comment, in the field where women take center stage, how do you go about claiming your space, whether it's a female or woman choreographer or a male working, dancing amongst other women? Talk to me about how you set yourself apart or claim your space. Whitney?
I think what's been really nice about this experience is that I feel like the choreographers kind of want you to be yourself, and they're like, well, how would you do it? You know, like in rehearsal today, she's Marika, who's pictured right here. She had me like shift forward and shift back, and she wanted me to stay on point. And then she goes, well, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to come off point? Do you want to go on point? And I thought that was really nice because normally it's like cut and dry, like do it like this, but she wanted me to feel comfortable in the movement. And I think that actually makes the work look better when the dancer feels more comfortable. So in things like that, I think I really like that kind of give and take, like in the process. And so, yeah, I would say that, you know, that's been really exciting, and it gives you a voice as well, even though it's not your choreography.
So it's more collaborative. Erin, how will you continue to kind of claim your space in your practice?
It's a hard one. I think for me, I like to go into every program, including this one, kind of with new choreography. I like to see what else I can learn from this or gain from it, what it can teach me to kind of make me a different or better artist in the future. But I think now, especially as I've gotten further along in my career, like I said, those relationships are really key for me. So I always am excited if I get to dance next to somebody new, or I have a new partner and I get to look at them and just see where we can bond or where we can have fun together on stage. And I think that's where I've tried to kind of be my own person in the company lately, as I try and see how much I can like bond with this person that I'm dancing with. So what I like from this one is that I'm with a bunch of my friends already in the studio. So now we're just finding ways to move together. And like Whitney said, there's give and take in these new moves pieces. So today we were doing stuff and our choreographer's like, well, what feels good to you? What arm do you guys like here? Okay, can I see it both ways? Now, what's the vote? How do we feel about this one? And so it's more of a collaborative effort, but also just being with your friends is always a nice experience.
Excellent. Sydney, how do you claim your space?
Well, I think for me, especially in new moves, usually it's very much out of my comfort zone. And I'm fortunate enough to be performing in Caroline Dom's piece, and I have the pleasure of learning Marika Brussels' piece. Or sorry if I said her last name wrong, but Marika's piece. And both are very different, and both obviously unique in their own way. And kind of what Whitney said, I think, especially since it's out of my comfort zone to do certain things like this that isn't like, you know, just technically ballet. Caroline Dahm, for example, from the very get-go, very beginning, she said that she wants us to be vocal on whether something feels good or whether it doesn't, or if it feels natural to us or if it doesn't, because she wants us to be, you know, comfortable. and like collaborative, but also, push our boundaries as a dancer. And so I think for me, having that, I guess, level of comfort in that they understand that maybe something they give us won't feel completely natural to us, and that we are able to, vocalize that and work with her and have it be a collaborative experience, that makes me more confident, I guess, and be able to take my space in the room and really learn and grow in that way. So definitely excited for the process.
Yeah, it is. Sounds like it's a unique opportunity. Well, looking ahead a bit, I'd love to hear what you all are looking forward to in the year ahead. What you're aspiring to, productions that you might be taking part in or hoping to. Whitney, tell us kind of what's just ahead for you.
Yeah, I always look forward to the next season when they announce what we're doing. Yeah, it's nice that there's a couple full-length ballets on the program. Hoping to perform some roles in those that I haven't done before. And yeah, I'm looking forward to just being back on stage, because this past year was our first time back on the Kaufman Center stage after being more so doing like video productions and things like that. So I'm just excited to be back on stage. Giselle should be fun. Cinderella should be fun. Like, I think I am looking more forward to the full-length ballets.
Getting back to a little more normality, right? Taryn, what do you see ahead, and what are you looking forward to in this kind of post-pandemic opportunity?
Like Whitney said, being back on stage has been amazing. So I am very excited to get back to a couple classical ballets. And then next year's mixed rep is a very wide variety. And I really like those varieties because they really push me to do something different and to go from something on point to something super contemporary in a matter of 10 minutes. And I love that challenge. So that is something I'm looking forward to. And as selfish as this may be for me, I am also very much looking forward to possibly rehearsing without masks, maybe sometime in the near future, please. We got to be on stage without masks. With all the policies and different protocols we have in place, but we rehearse up until the very last second with masks. And I think my lungs would appreciate a break. So
I don't think that's selfish at all. I think that's hopeful. And that takes us to a place I think we're all looking forward to. So Sydney, give us a glimpse of what you're thinking about.
Truthfully, I mean, similar to what Whitney and Taryn have said, I am excited for every single thing on the program next season. I'm a very big bunhead, so the classical ballets I'm very, very excited about. And I've never done a full-length Giselle, which is really exciting. Looking forward to that. I've been a part of a full-length Cinderella before, and it'll be interesting to do a different one that's Stebbins. And that last rep, I'm very excited about, because like Taryn was saying, it's a very mixed rep. And I think it's really going to push us as a company and as like a group. And I also love how big all of these productions are. It's just, I love doing big group things with all the company. It's a nice camaraderie. So I'm just really excited.
That's great. A lot ahead. Well, let's talk about your career overall. I know we visited a little bit yesterday, and I would love to hear future goals. As you look at as a woman in dance and a woman in ballet, what does the trajectory of your career look like? During your time dancing, but also beyond your aspirations. before you answer that, let me just reintroduce everyone. This is Kansas City Ballet's Dancer Chat. And we are on Facebook Live with Whitney Hewell, Sydney Hapes, and Taryn Mejia. 3 brilliant women that dance at the Kansas City Ballet. So, Sydney, talk to us about your trajectory forward. You're clearly passionate about what you do. Talk to us a little bit about your aspirations for your time dancing and then beyond.
I mean, as I continue my actual dancing career, I mean, there's so many ballets and things that I'd love to do, roles that I'd like to, try, and just really continue to push myself as an artist. I think there's a lot more I haven't really, what's the word I'm looking for, found within myself yet. And I want to really push those boundaries as much as I can. And then after, I've always really admired the role of ballet master and ballet mistress like Christy Capps and Parrish Maynard and Chris Rude, all of our amazing faculty faculty. And so I would love to dive into that at some point after I'm done dancing. I really love the idea of cleaning a ballet, setting a ballet, and that really does interest me. And so I hope at some point in the future when I'm finished dancing that I could dive into that.
Excellent, excellent. Karen, what are your aspirations as a dancer? And then any aspirations within the dancing field after that?
As a dancer, I am just out to enjoy this as long as my body will let me. I think as you get further along in your career, you become aware of how few years you have left and you start to really cherish those moments. So I know that each time I get out on stage or a new part is given to me, I'm trying to enjoy that and take that in as much as I can. As for aspirations after, I actually haven't considered a career too much outside of dancing in the ballet world. However, I am an incredibly organized person to keep my whole family running. And I think that that could translate into being a really good administrator and keeping all the checks and balances in line. I have staged a couple ballets and I like the detail of having to know all the counts and the arms for everybody. I have a brain that kind of picks up on that pretty quickly and all those little details. And I think that if I was given the opportunity, I would love to stage ballets.
Excellent. Whitney, what are your aspirations?
I just want to stay healthy and keep dancing and have the opportunity to dance roles that challenge me, that are something that will put my best foot forward. I don't want to do a ballet again and do the exact same thing. I want to do something that's more challenging. I want to do something more featured. Like, I feel like part of this journey has been every time I do something, it's something different, and it's a different way to go about it. You're doing a different role. I'm ready. I'm hungry. I've always been that way. So when we do things in the future, I want to do bigger things. I want to do better things. I want to do it better. So that's kind of how I feel about the remainder of my career, is just doing my best and, doing the best with what I'm given. So yeah, that's what I feel. I teach a little bit. I don't really know if that's like the trajectory that I want to go on as far as like staying in dance. I do have a bachelor's degree in ballet and psychology. So I'm not even sure if I want to continue in the ballet field afterward. I'm just such a dancer. Like I like to dance. And so I think I'm selfish in that way, is that I'm, of course I want to share what I know, but at the same time, I have the most passion for dancing myself. So I think in another career might be suited for me when I'm done dancing, because I just enjoy dancing too much to kind of just be on the sidelines. I'll just want to get in there, if I'm like setting something or something like that. So yeah, like I don't have like a concrete idea of what I want to do after I'm dancing, but I know that I just want to continue to enjoy what I'm doing now and do the best that I can with it.
Well, as women and women with careers, one of the big challenges we face is balancing our lives between our personal lives and things we enjoy outside of our careers and our careers. So I'd love to know from all of you, what do you do on your downtime? How do you enjoy the city? How do you have family? What are those things that you do when you are not working hard at Kansas City Ballet? Sydney?
Oh gosh. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very lazy. I mean, I love, spending time with my friends, who a lot of them, or all of them, I dance with every day as well. So it's kind of fun to go do things with them out in KC that's not just at the studios. I don't know. Oh my gosh. I love coffee. I go to a lot of coffee shops. I think that's like my very zen. That's how I relax from the hard week.
You are in the right city. There are lots of choices. Yeah. Very good. I'm with you, Sydney. That's one of my favorite pastimes as well.
Oh,
Erin,
my God.
oh.
Elizabeth just said, I have a puppy over there. We go on walks.
That's fantastic. Tara, what do you do in your downtime? How do you enjoy the city?
I don't really know what downtime is. But after work, I have 2 kids. So my days off and my evenings consist of running my kids to all the places they have to be: homework, spelling words, math homework, laundry, lots and lots of laundry. So yeah, we just had a week off to rest up from Dracula, and I spent the whole week picking up my house and running my kids to all their activities. So downtime really isn't I don't have personal downtime to take care of myself a lot. So I try and put that time aside, as like, even if I can get a half an hour in there. But my actual downtime for me is my job. That's where I can actually do something for me. And if I have a minute, I'll sit and stretch or kind of take a minute and breathe. But once I get home, my family takes priority, which I think has actually balanced me out. And it keeps me, if I have a bad rehearsal day, my kids don't care. They need mom to take care of them. They need mom to focus. And so I think that helps me balance my work life and my home life, because I can't always bring it home.
I think that's called an avocation, when you're doing that one thing that you love. So that's fantastic. Whitney, what do you do when you're off stage?
I like to watch movies, and I like to watch TV series. I'm getting married in June, so I've been doing wedding planning for over a year, which has been really fun during my downtime, because I'm not one of I guess I just never thought about planning a wedding before I got engaged. So it was very new to me. And so this has all been like a totally different world, and like figuring out, from the dress to the, decorations to whatever, like it's been really exciting, and something that I guess I just never really thought about. So that has been really fun in my downtime this past year.
That's wonderful, and congratulations. That's an exciting step. I would be eager to learn more about what you have planned. So as you mature in your career and as a woman, mentoring is often a really important step if you have that opportunity. Do any of you mentor others, or would you look forward to mentoring a up-and-comer or a younger dancer in the future? Taryn?
I don't have anyone in particular that I'm mentoring. I know that a lot of the dancers in the company, all of us, we do tend to go up and talk to the trainees and give them some advice on occasion when we see them and see them going through something. And I've tried to kind of do that as I see them having issues or being upset, to be that for them. But right now it's just like a comment here or a comment there. If somebody asked me to be that, I think I would really enjoy that. I've experienced enough in this career and outside this career to give a lot of advice. It just hasn't really become an opportunity yet.
Sydney, have you had that opportunity, or would you look forward to that in the future?
I have not had that opportunity quite yet. I would love to. I always think it's nice, and I will say Taryn is right, she did. I mean, my time as a trainee, I think every single one of the people in the company was like a little baby mentor to me. And so I would love to, try and help anyone who has like any questions, is like looking for just advice. It can be a really hard career, and I think having people there that can be honest and share their experiences is just very helpful. So I would love to at some point help anyone who may want any help.
How about you, Whitney? Have you had an opportunity to mentor, or would you look forward to that in the future?
Yeah, I would definitely look forward to doing that. I don't have a specific mentee, but the school that I went to in high school, the Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities, actually over quarantine, they asked me to come in over Zoom and speak with the dancers in the dance department. And a lot of it was about like how to audition or things like that, like tips. And, they asked questions about being in a company. They asked questions about like, what it takes to get into a company. And I thought that was really nice, a nice opportunity to have, because, I don't really speak to that many students that often. So that was nice. And I would welcome the opportunity to do that again.
Those challenges, as you look back on your career, and actually even forward as you continue through, what are some of those biggest, kind of deepest challenges that you've had to overcome? You talked about auditioning. What are a few of those things, as standout moments where your resilience really kicked into action? Sydney?
Yeah, I think a big thing for me that I have experienced that was a challenge is just, I've said before, I'm a perfectionist. So if something goes wrong in a performance or, just anything, I can get very down on myself because it wasn't like perfect. And I think, trying to move past that. Yeah. I lost my other thing I was going to say.
It's a tough career. I mean, it takes a lot of confidence, a lot of resilience, and a lot of physical strength. And I think those of us that aren't in the career and the profession don't always understand that.
I also think we can experience a lot of rejection when it comes to like auditioning, or just, oh, we didn't get the part we wanted, or you know, and I think just learning that it's not really a personal thing, that's also like a really hard challenge to get through. Is like, I can't take it personally. Sometimes like, you know, a company is looking for a certain dancer, or, you know, the role wasn't meant for you this time around. Like, I just think that's a challenge you're going to have to face and, you know, work through as best you can.
That's tough. That's really tough. Erin, do you have any of those specific challenges where your resilience really had to kick in?
To kind of speak towards my like Kansas City side of my career, I had a whole nother challenge when I was in New York City Ballet with a really bad injury that resulted from not really eating properly. So that was me trying to learn how to balance out my own, you know, life and my own control. But here in Kansas City, after taking 6 years off, getting back on stage, I was terrified. Like, I wanted to dance and I loved rehearsing, but getting on stage, I found it took me years to gain my confidence back. A lot of times I would go out on stage and kept thinking, I'm not good enough for this. Somebody else should be doing this. I should just be in the back. Like, I'm happy dancing right now. It took a long time to gain my confidence back, to be okay with, no, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like, I should be out here. This is what I want to do. Now that I have that confidence back, it's always just, I'll go out there and what's going to happen, it's going to happen. And it's been kind of a freeing moment to get past that. But that took many, many years. And to go off what Sydney said is that not only do we have to get used to rejection, we get told, we stand in front of a mirror and then we get told all day what we're doing wrong. We get corrections. They're like, your foot wasn't pointed here. This is going here. You know, maybe you should take this different artistic view of the part you're doing. And so we become very apt at taking the criticism and realizing it's not a personal thing. It's just making you better and making the audience enjoy it more. And so breaking that up is difficult as a dancer sometimes.
Not only does resilience come to mind for me, it's determination. That passion inside you really has to drive you through some of those challenging times. Whitney, what's been a challenge for you?
I think in my time in ballet, the most challenging is being okay with the unknown. Like when I was graduating high school and about to, you know, I really wanted to actually join Dance Theater of Harlem, but the year I graduated was the year they folded. And I was in a period of the unknown. I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? Like what's going to happen? And I was really scared, but I just, you know, went with it. I had auditioned for IU as a backup, ended up going there. So that was like another moment where it was like, things don't always pan out the way you want them to, but you have to go with the flow and just do what you think is right in the moment. And then another situation is when I was at Ballet West and knowing I wanted to leave, and I was like, felt like an older dancer then. And I was like, oh, I'm afraid to audition. Like, does anybody even want me? Like, you know, you feel like there's this unknown, you know, but you just have to go for it. And like that year, I had a really good audition year. It was like a good year to audition and I got the job. And like, so it was, I think you just have to go for it. And those are the most challenging moments, is to go for it when you don't know it's there. And so I think that's probably the hardest thing about this career.
And courage, being able to just really step into it when you have a high fear factor. So thank you, Whitney. I want to encourage those of you that are watching us on Facebook Live, do put your questions in the comments and we will direct those questions to our brilliant women. I do have one question already. It's, how would you advise a dancer wanting to audition in KC? Anyone want to take that question? Erin? How would you advise a dancer wanting to audition in Kansas City?
I mean, luckily they have all of that kind of up on our website because we really have nothing to do with that so much as the administration side. So, I mean, it's always good to get your name out there. And it always helps to have connections and know people in different companies, but ultimately it comes down to the administration. So the audition world is always really, unfortunately, difficult to get your name in there.
Mhm.
And bodies especially, it's videos and sending those in, and you just kind of have to hope for the best. But tips in general for auditioning is to just be yourself. Sometimes you have a good class, sometimes you don't, but ultimately it's about showing them what you can bring as an individual, because there's always another dancer in line. So all you can do is be yourself.
Excellent. Wonderful. Any other questions from those of you who are listening and watching? Do not hesitate. So we're coming in on just under 10 minutes, and I do want to ask one question, one last question, if I can. I would love, we talked a little bit yesterday, and I would love for everyone to share that moment. That moment as you were growing up, or as you were moving through your learning related to dance, that convinced you that this was it, that this was your avocation. Sydney?
Yeah, we were talking yesterday, and I for a very, very long time, dance wasn't something I thought I would do, like, as a career. I liked ballet, but I wasn't like in love with it. It wasn't like my favorite thing, which I think is funny now because I couldn't like live without it now. But I think the pivotal moment for me was I went to the Boston Ballet Summer Intensive, and I don't know exactly what it was about that intensive, or maybe just, I just really enjoyed it, and something there, it clicked for me. I fell in love with the process of, taking class. I loved, I started to love perfecting certain steps and things. And like, I just had a newfound love and respect and admiration for the art form that I hadn't had yet. And I was starting to like find myself as an artist, I think, and that intrigued me. And I just hadn't really had that spark yet. And so I don't know what it was about that moment, but that summer intensive was it was a game changer for me. And it, that's where I decided I really wanted to do this for my career. But, yeah.
That was your aha moment. Excellent. Whitney, what was that for you?
Yeah, it was a moment in high school when I was at the Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities. And my previous training wasn't great as far as like knowing specifics with technique and things like that. I had a lot to learn. When I went to Governor's School, I realized I was really behind. But at one point, my teacher pulled me aside and he talked to me and he said, like, Whitney, you have these amazing proportions. He was like, you're unlimited. And just those words of someone saying that you're unlimited, like you could do whatever you wanted to do, like you could be really good in this field, was very inspiring to me. And no one had ever spoken to me like that. Like I wasn't like a favorite or anything like that in my small studio or anything. And this person was taking an interest in me and like really making it seem like this could be a reality to be a ballerina. And so that's when I started to take ballet very seriously and think that it could be something, in my life that I could do professionally.
Wow, the power of the teacher and words of encouragement can inform your future. Taryn, what was that moment or series of moments for you?
I think from like the age of 3, when I started ballet, I just wanted to be a dancer. That was what I was going to do. Like I said, I lost interest in it pretty quickly in my early 20s when I was in my first career. She's like, well, maybe this really isn't for me. So that aha moment that this is like my passion was when I came back to it, because I really didn't think I could get a job again. And I was shocked that I got one, actually, and had to work really hard to come back. And when I got my job, I was not fully back in shape. I had just had my second child. And the director had looked at me and he said, you're not where you will be, but I know your personality and you're not going to settle for anything other than the best. And he's like, so push and you'll find that love again. Just keep pushing yourself. And I know that you'll have a great second career. And kind of that really helped kind of fuel me coming back through the trials of getting my technique back, because it was really hard that first year. And I think that first time I stepped back out on stage, had so much fun. And I realized that I wanted to continue to do that for as long as possible. And I'm glad I stuck through it, because still here 10 years later.
That's phenomenal. Wow. I'm glad as well. We have one last question. And then we'll consider wrapping up here. What is the difference about dancing in a classical ballet versus in a contemporary ballet, like the ones in New Moves? And Sydney, I'll direct this to you because you were commenting earlier that this is kind of new to you. So what is the difference for you?
Well, I mean, classical ballet, we're very like upright and, bouncing on our toes. And it's just like a very different feeling. And when we go into a contemporary piece, it's usually very grounded, which is very difficult for me personally. I don't know how Whitney and Taryn feel, but to like kind of go like back and forth is very interesting. It's challenging, I'll say. We'll start with we have a ballet class every day in the morning. So, we do our bar and then we do center, and usually a lot of the women are on point in center. So we have like a different, I guess I'll say balance point that we have like created for that day. And then we immediately go into a contemporary rehearsal and we have to like really work on getting grounded. And so a lot of the time, like today, Caroline Dom in her rehearsal, she gave us like a warm up to feel that groundedness and change our weight. And like how we transfer it and how we move through it. And so it's definitely a challenge. I think that's just the biggest difference. It's just it's opposing, but it's very fun.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I want to give each of you an opportunity to one more time share with everyone what piece that you are participating or performing in New Moves, and the choreographers that you are working with, the women choreographers. So Whitney, why don't you lead off? Let us know, who are you working with?
I'm working with Marika Brussel and also Catlin Addison. I don't know the names of their works yet. They might have, I think Marika told us, but I can't remember. But okay. I'm in those two pieces.
We want to know who these women are. That's what we want to hear. Okay, Taryn, who are you working with?
I am working with Emily Mistretta.
Wonderful. And Sydney?
I'm working with Caroline Dom, and I also get to learn Marika's piece, which is exciting.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Any last thoughts from any of you? Brilliant thoughts to close us off? Come and see New Moves, right? And see these brilliant women performing the new works in New Moves. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, particularly Whitney, Taryn, and Sydney, for sharing your thoughts, your journey, your impressions, and then most of all, sharing your talent and your passion for dance with the rest of us. You can see these dancers and the Kansas City Ballet in the New Moves performance, again, March 24th through the 27th in the Michael and Ginger Frost Theater at the Todd Bolender Center for Dance and Creativity. That's the home of Kansas City Ballet. Please find the link for your tickets in the comments or on kcballet.org. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you, Taryn. Thank you, Sydney. And we look forward to seeing all of you at the ballet.